to Enots Engineering. I'm Alan. In today's video I'm checking over the Boxford electric motor. It's been a bit sluggish during the winter. I suppose when temperatures get down to 0 the grease and everything sort of stiffens up. So I thought it was time. I took the motor out, stripped it down, reconditioned it and returned it back into the Boxford. So let's go into the workshop, see how we do it. The first thing I want to do today is check the motor on the Boxford lathe. I've had some problems with it not getting up to speed. Could be because the machine's cold. When I took the motor out about 4 or 5 years ago, I only checked the bearings for grease. I didn't check the centrifugal switch on there, so that's what I want to do today. The way I do this is I take the motor out still attached to the base plate. I find that easier than trying to undo the 4 bolts inside the cabinet. So I've already got these separated. These two are taped up with these two, so they go on that block, and then the other two just to go onto that block. So I can take the wires out and I know which one goes onto which block. These are old ceramic connector blocks. That's the wires disconnected. And once you've undone both of the bolts, you should be able to drag the motor out. Still on its base with the belts fitted. So these are the 4 bolts that you need to undo to get the cradle off the motor. Now the nuts that are on the back of this motor are T-nuts, and they slide up and down the groove to give you the adjustment. Put this on one side, I'll clean that up before I fit it back together. There's the motor. Can't see a date on there. Just undone the grub screw. That's just slid forward a bit. It came off quite easy considering it's been on there 50 years. So what have we got on this end? On this end we've just got the 4 screws for the cover, and on the other end another 4 screws and 3 screws for the bearing. You can see in there we have a connection plate. If I stand it up on its end, I've had a chance to have a closer look at it, and here are some points. And what happens is when the motor gets to a certain speed, it will pull this out or in. Well, that will go in. When those weights fly out, this will go in and connect to another set of coils that will make the motor go faster at full speed. Now if for some reason it's sticking or this doesn't work, doesn't get up to speed, it only runs on the first coils, which is slower. So obviously after 50 years, the points on here will probably need cleaning. Whether you can get at them. It's all riveted on. I've got a very small file and I'm just folding over some very fine wet and dry emery cloth just to give the points a polish. I've managed to prise it out of its holder. And the other point on the inside, I can't get in with that folder. You can see now I've got a flat face on there where before it was all pitted. Polish the two up and just see if I can get it back together without breaking it. This piece of metal has to go through that hole. There we go. And I just fold the top over just to stop it coming out. There we go. You can see there, get some more light on it. These are the points at the top here. That's okay. So I can start to reassemble. Now I've just fed the wires through back to the hole on the side. Pushed the plate in so the bearing's gone in. What I want to do next is locate the rods that go through, make sure they're not touching anything, fill up the grease again on each end. Under the cover there's a capacitor. It's strange there's no insulation on the connectors. It's 100 125 UF, 275 volts. Made in UK. I ordered a new capacitor for it last night, and today it arrived, which is amazing really, considering it was just about 2 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday when I ordered one, and it arrived this morning at 8 o'clock. So that's 100, 125, 250 volt. On this one it says, I won't get it round, 100, 125, 275 volt. So the voltage is slightly different, but it shouldn't make any difference. And you can see slightly shorter, but this has a cap that goes on the top which makes it the same length. On this one the wires are soldered on, so I'll have to get my soldering iron out and remove the wires. Fitted the 2 wires onto the new capacitor. I'll just put the cap on. On this cap has some slots in the side so the wires can go through, and hopefully it'll still fit the tin box. That's ready to go back into the lathe. I fixed the cradle and the motor back into the cabinet, wired the motor up, left the cover off the motor cable just in case I've got it wrong and it doesn't work. We've got the new capacitor on. I've not connected the belt to the headstock yet, so I thought I'd try it first. And because I'm trying it with the cupboard door open, I'll need to hold the switch down, the marker switch, so it thinks the cupboard's closed. First of all, let's put the power on. When the power's on, nothing happens there. Switch on the power to the motor, switch the motor on. Now when I switch it off,
After a second you'll hear the click, which is the centrifugal force disconnecting the contacts inside the motor.
working. So that tells me that the centrifugal force is working, that's operating the contact inside, because when it slows down you can hear it click, switch. All that seems to be working okay. The next job is to put the cover on the electrics down there and fit the other belt, and the job's finished.
Well, that's it for today. Hope that was useful, hope it was interesting, and we'll see you next time on Enots Engineering.